My mother-in-law called me a gold digger in front of the entire family. She said I had married her son for his money, even though I earned more than he did and had never asked her for a thing. Then, 3 months later, she lost the house she had spent her whole life protecting. And the person who bought it was me. My name's Lena Carter. For the first 2 years of my marriage, I tried very hard to become part of the Whitmore family. They were close in the way some families are close. They had Sunday dinners, shared group messages, and strong opinions about everyone's life. My husband Marcus was the youngest of 3 children. His older sister Rachel lived 10 minutes from his parents and visited almost every day. His older brother Daniel had taken over the family construction business. Marcus was different. He worked as an electrical engineer and preferred quiet evenings, old movies, and fixing things around the house. That was how we met. The kitchen light in my apartment had stopped working. Marcus was visiting a friend in the same building and he offered to take a look. He fixed the light in less than 10 minutes. Then he stayed for 3 hours talking about everything except himself. A year later, we were married. Marcus's father, Robert, welcomed me immediately. He called me the organized one because I always arrived on time and remembered everyone's birthdays. His mother, Evelyn, was more difficult. At first, I thought she was simply protective. Then I realized she didn't want to share control of her son's life with anyone, especially me. The first time Evelyn called me a gold digger, we were sitting around her dining table. She had prepared a large Sunday meal, and everyone was discussing Daniel's new truck. Rachel asked Marcus whether we were planning to move into a bigger house. Before Marcus could answer, Evelyn looked at me. "Lena probably has that all planned already," she said. I smiled politely. "We're comfortable where we are." Evelyn laughed. "Of course you are. You married an engineer." The table went quiet. Marcus immediately looked up. "Mom." "What?" Evelyn asked. I'm joking, but she wasn't. She continued cutting her food as if nothing had happened. I tried to let it go. That became my habit with Evelyn. I let things go when she criticized my clothes. I let things go when she told relatives that Marcus had become distant since our wedding. I even let things go when she suggested that I had chosen carefully because Marcus was the only one in the family with a stable career. But the comments never stopped. They only became quieter and more deliberate. At a birthday dinner, she told Rachel that some women could sense financial security from across a room. At Christmas, she asked whether I had signed a prenuptial agreement. When I told her Marcus and I had never needed one, she smiled. That's what people say before they change their minds. Marcus wanted to confront her. I always stopped him. I believed peace was worth protecting. I was wrong. Sometimes, silence doesn't protect peace. Sometimes it teaches people that they can keep hurting you without consequences. Evelyn's house had belonged to Robert's family for nearly 40 years. It was a large brick home at the end of a quiet street with a deep backyard and an old wooden porch. Robert had built most of it himself. Every room contained a memory. The hallway was lined with photographs of their children. The kitchen still had the same cabinets Robert had installed in the 1980s. And in the living room stood a tall grandfather clock that had belonged to Robert's parents. To Evelyn, the house was more than property. It was proof that she and Robert had built something lasting. But after Robert retired, things changed. The construction business began losing money. Daniel made several poor investments. Rachel needed help with medical bills, and Evelyn quietly borrowed against the house to cover expenses she refused to discuss. Marcus discovered the problem by accident. He was helping his father sort old tax documents when he found a letter from the bank. The house was behind on its payments. Not a little behind. The bank had issued a final notice. Marcus called me that evening. "How bad is it?" Owen asked. He was silent for several seconds. "Mom could lose the house." I knew what that house meant to Evelyn. I also knew she would never admit she needed help. Marcus wanted to use our savings. I told him we couldn't simply hand over money without understanding the situation. So I began reviewing the paperwork. That was when I discovered something even worse. Evelyn had signed a private loan agreement with Daniel. Daniel had promised to save the construction business. Instead, he had used the money to cover his own debts. The agreement gave him a claim against the house. If Evelyn defaulted, Daniel could force a sale. The person who had accused me of wanting the family's money was about to lose her home because her favorite son had taken it. Before I tell you what happened next, take a moment to subscribe if you enjoy stories about family, betrayal, and unexpected justice. And tell me honestly, if you discovered that a family member had risked your home without your permission, would you confront them immediately? Because Evelyn was about to learn the truth from someone she trusted more than anyone else. Marcus confronted Daniel first. Daniel denied everything. He said the loan had been necessary. He said the business was about to recover. He said Evelyn had approved the arrangement. But when Marcus asked to see the financial records, Daniel became angry. "This is none of your business," he said. Marcus stared at him. "It's our mother's house." Daniel lowered his voice. "You only care now because your wife wants to get involved." That sentence reached Evelyn before we did. That evening she called me. I answered because I thought she needed help. Instead, she said, "Stay away from our family's finances." I reminded her that Marcus had only been trying to protect her. She laughed bitterly. "Protect me? You mean protect yourself?" I didn't respond. Then she said the words I knew she had been waiting to use. "You married my son for security, Lena. Don't pretend this is about me." For a moment, I couldn't speak. Not because the accusation surprised me, because she said it with such certainty, as if my character had already been decided. I looked around our apartment. The furniture had been purchased with my salary. The mortgage payments were divided equally between Marcus and me. The car in the driveway was mine. The savings account Evelyn believed I was trying to reach had been built before I ever met her son. She had never asked about any of that. She'd had only decided that I was guilty. So I said something I had never said before. "Evelyn, you don't know anything about my life." She answered immediately, "I know enough." Then she hung up. The next morning, Marcus and I met with a real estate attorney. The house was scheduled for a foreclosure auction in less than 6 weeks. Daniel's claim complicated everything, but there was one way to stop the auction. We could purchase the property directly, pay the bank, settle the valid debts, and allow Evelyn and Robert to remain in the house under a legal occupancy agreement. It would protect the home. It would also mean using nearly all of our savings. Marcus looked at me. "You don't have to do this." I thought about Evelyn's voice. I thought about the way she had looked at me across that dining table. Then I thought about Robert, who still believed the family could be repaired. "I'm not doing it for her approval," I said. "I'm doing it because losing the house won't fix what Daniel did." We made an offer through a property company connected to my consulting business. The offer covered the bank debt, Daniel's legitimate claim, the taxes, and the legal costs. It was fair. It was also the only offer that allowed Evelyn and Robert to stay. When the paperwork arrived, Evelyn refused to sign. She said the offer was an insult. She said the house was worth more. She said I was trying to take advantage of her. I asked her what other offer she had. She didn't answer. The bank's deadline was approaching. Daniel still hadn't produced the money he had promised. Rachel had stopped answering calls because she was tired of being pulled into the conflict. And Robert had begun sleeping in the living room because he couldn't climb the stairs easily anymore. Still, Evelyn insisted I was trying to steal the house. 3 days before the auction, she called a family meeting. Everyone sat in the living room beneath the photographs of their children. Evelyn placed the purchase documents on the coffee table. "Lena wants us to sell her our home for less than it's worth," she announced. I looked at the paperwork. "That isn't true." She turned toward me. "You've wanted this from the beginning." Marcus stood up. "Mom, stop." "But," Evelyn continued, "she married into this family, and now she wants the house too." Daniel sat silently in the corner. He wouldn't look at anyone. That was when I placed another document on the table. It was the financial report showing where the original loan money had gone. Daniel's face changed. I looked at Evelyn. "Your house is in danger because Daniel used the money to cover his business debts." Daniel finally stood. That report is private. So was the loan agreement? I replied. The room went silent. Evelyn looked at her son. Is this true? Daniel didn't answer. He didn't need to. His silence was enough. Robert slowly picked up the report. His hands trembled as he read it. For years he had defended Daniel. He had believed the family business was struggling because of the economy. Now he understood that his son had risked his home while blaming everyone else. Evelyn looked at me again. You planned this. No, I said. I planned to stop the foreclosure. Then I slid the final document toward her. The purchase agreement included a lifetime occupancy clause. She and Robert could remain in the house for as long as they lived. They would pay a modest monthly amount toward maintenance. They would not be evicted. They would not be removed from the home they had built together. I had bought the house, but I had not taken it from them. Evelyn stared at the agreement. You would still own it, she said. Yes. So you really are taking everything. I looked at her. You are about to lose everything to the bank. She said nothing. I continued. I'm not asking you to call me family. I'm not asking you to apologize tonight. I'm asking you to stop pretending that I caused this. Daniel stepped forward. She saved the house. Evelyn turned toward him. You don't get to defend her. Daniel's voice broke. I'm not defending her. I'm telling the truth. He admitted everything. The money, the false promises, the paperwork he had hidden, the fact that he had known about the foreclosure for months. Evelyn sat down slowly. For the first time since I had met her, she looked smaller than her anger. Robert folded the report and placed it on the table. Then he looked at me. Why would you do this after the way we treated you? I answered honestly. Because your house should not become another casualty of your family's pride. Nobody spoke. The grandfather clock ticked from the hallway. That was the loudest sound in the room. After a long moment, Evelyn picked up the occupancy agreement. Her eyes moved across the page. You really mean to let us stay? Yes. Even after what I said, I looked at Marcus. Then I looked back at her. I'm not buying your forgiveness, Evelyn. I'm buying the house. What you do with the truth is your choice. She lowered her eyes. The apology did not come that day. Neither did a hug. There was no dramatic reconciliation. Real families rarely heal that quickly. But something changed. The accusation no longer controlled the room. The truth did. Closed 2 weeks later. The foreclosure was canceled. Daniel sold his portion of the construction business to repay part of what he had taken. Rachel stopped avoiding family gatherings. Robert began repairing the porch again, one board at a time, and Evelyn stayed in the house. At first, she treated me like a landlord. She sent formal messages about repairs and never looked me in the eye. Then, one afternoon, I found her standing in the kitchen with an old box of family photographs. She placed it on the counter. I found these while cleaning the attic, she said. I nodded. She opened the box. Inside were photographs of Marcus as a child, Robert holding him on his shoulders, and Evelyn sitting beside him on the porch steps. Then she pulled out a picture of me and Marcus from our wedding. I had never seen it before. You look happy here, she said. We were. She touched the edge of the photograph. I thought you were going to take him away from us. I didn't answer. She looked down. So I tried to make you feel like you didn't belong. The words were quiet. Not perfect, but honest. I didn't want your money, I said. I know that now. She swallowed. I should have known it then. That was the closest thing to an apology she could give me. For the time being, it was enough. Months later, Marcus and I visited the house for Sunday dinner. Evelyn prepared the same meal she had served the first time she called me a gold digger. But this time, when she placed a plate in front of me, she paused. Lena, she said, would you like to sit beside me? I smiled. Yes. I took the seat. The house still belonged to me legally, but that evening, for the first time, it felt like I belonged there too. People often think revenge means making someone suffer. But sometimes justice is quieter than that. Sometimes it means refusing to let someone's mistake destroy their entire life. Sometimes it means saving the house, exposing the truth, and still demanding accountability. Evelyn called me a gold digger because she was afraid I wanted what belonged to her family. In the end, I bought the house. But I never wanted the house. I wanted Marcus to stop choosing between his wife and his family. I wanted Robert to keep the home he had built. And I wanted the truth to matter more than the insult. Because money can buy property. It cannot buy trust. And once trust is broken, the only way to rebuild it is through honesty, responsibility, and time. If this story made you think about family, betrayal, or forgiveness, share your thoughts in the comments. Would you have bought the house, or would you have that the bank take it? Like this video and subscribe to Parents Revenge. And join us for more emotional stories about betrayal, justice, and the choices that reveal who people really are.